James, and I'm here with the Oracle Outlook for the week starting May the 1st, 2017. This week I'm going to be working with the Lenormand, and so the deck that's going to be assisting me for this week's reading is the Gilded Reverie Lenormand. It is by Ciro Marchetti, and it is published by US Games Systems Incorporated. So I have the deck on hand. I'm going to shuffle the cards. And as I shuffle the cards, I'm asking the question, which I do in every one of my weekly general readings, is I'm asking, what do we need to know for the week ahead? So now I'm going to go ahead and cut the cards, fan them out, and I'm going to be picking 5 because I work with a line of 5 when I work with Lenormand. So I'm just looking for the cards that get my attention. And now that I have them picked out, I'm going to take the rest of the deck and put it aside. And so here are the 5 cards face down. And so now when I start a line of 5, I always look to the middle card first, because the middle card for me represents the central issue or something that we're being asked to focus on for the week. So the card is Tree. So for me, Tree is a card that can represent health and healing. So it could be, again, finding a repetitive theme here over the last few weeks with these readings is that this has been one theme that I talked about. If you remember in last week's Kipper card reading, we had the card Bad Health show up. And so that was asking us to consider what we needed to do to heal. We were in a place of recovery, and so that could be from a place of physical well-being. That was one of the aspects of the card last week. So here with healing and health being with the Tree, we're being asked to maybe take another look at that or see how much progress we've made with that. If you're looking at that and you're still in the process of healing and recovery, don't beat yourself up. Tree is offering you this, that all processes when it comes to health and healing take time, because trees take time to grow. So it's about being patient. And so practicing patience this week as you continue on your healing journey or your healing experience. So I'm seeing that. Another aspect of Tree for me can represent our own growth and development. So that could be a personal kind of growth and development or a spiritual kind of growth and development. So there's that aspect of it too. So we're being asked to look at, the ways that we are growing and developing either personally or spiritually or both. Some people, are not on a spiritual path, and that's okay. So you want to look at it from a personal standpoint. But if you're on a spiritual path, then you know that every experience helps to inform your spiritual growth and development. So I'm seeing that. Another thing with the Tree card for me is that maybe we're being asked to look at things that have taken place in our family. I tend to look at Tree as family tree kind of thing. So maybe we're taking a look at, maybe healing something that has been, running through our family in terms of maybe something, in terms of lineage or ancestry or, something that's been going down from generation to generation. If it actually is a physical well-being issue, and working on our physical well-being or health and healing, then it could be maybe a condition that, tends to run in the family, something that runs from generation to generation to generation. And we're working on, how can we manage that? How can we live with that? What can we do to help heal and correct that kind of thing? But it could just also be too, like somebody is actually embarking on learning more about who they are and where they come from in terms of their lineage, their ancestry, their family history. So somebody could actually be exploring their family history, and the way to do that is, looking at your family tree. So I'm seeing that as possibilities with the Tree card in the middle. So now what we can do is we can look at the surrounding cards, because they're going to inform us more about the center card, because the Lenormand is best read in combinations. So with the card on the far left, we have Lilies. This is interesting. Okay, and then next to Lilies we have Rider. Okay, so next to Tree we have the Key, And then rounding out the line, we have Anchor. Okay, interesting cards. So now, if we take a look at the cards that are immediately flanking Tree, we have the Rider card on the left. So Rider for me can represent news or messages. So this could be news or messages that pertain to health and healing, right? Or this could be the arrival or the visit of something, you know? So it's about something being ushered in. So my first go-to, if we're talking about health and healing, like I said, there may be some news or messages that are going to be delivered that are pertaining to health and healing. And that's because the Rider card, if we go with direction, the Rider card is in front of the Tree card. So the Rider card is actually facing the Tree card. So there could be something having to do with that directly, playing on the idea of direction, right? So there may be something about that. It could also be too, if we talk about the idea that Tree represents family and family tree, then Rider could be the arrival or the visit of extended family, right? Going with the idea like somebody's exploring, you know, their family history, their family lineage. They may be connecting with, you know, extended family members, because Tree in that regard could be about branching out and developing connections. So it could be like somebody's actually having the arrival or the visit of extended family. But so there's two ways of looking at that. So if Tree is about health and healing, then it's about news or messages being delivered in regard to that. But if it's about extended family and we're looking at our family history, you know, and ways of developing connection with extended family, then this could be about the arrival and visit of extended family. So those are possibilities with Rider to the left of Tree. To the right of Tree, we have Key. Key is a card for me that can represent the answer, a solution. So it could be like, I'm seeing this, the arrival or news or messages going with Rider, the arrival of news or messages that pertain to health and healing that offer an answer or solution. Going with Key. Key represents answers, it's solutions, it represents discoveries, it represents revelations, it represents something being accessed or unlocked, because that's what a key does. A key unlocks things, right? And very interesting, with the imagery on this card, there is a cage that has an open door, like the key opened up the cage and let something out. You know, so it's about like no longer feeling imprisoned or caged up. You know, so there's a sense of like liberation as a result of this something being accessible. That's what I'm seeing. It's like something being accessible, right? So it could be like somebody being open to the idea of health, somebody being open to the idea of healing, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm seeing that. It could also be too like the discovery of extended family. If we go with the idea of Tree being extended family or family tree or family lineage or family history, then Key would be the importance of that for somebody. So if somebody is like doing that, is actively working in that, searching for that, it's important to the person, right? But it's also about unlocking something, it's about discovering something, it's about something being revealed along those lines. So this could be a health discovery, you know, the key that unlocks something pertaining to health and healing, or something having to do with family, and it represents getting to the truth of something. For me, the key always represents the truth. So it could be like if we're researching our family history, our family lineage, our ancestry, we discover a key and we discover the truth. That like the truth becomes revealed, you know? Could also be too with the health and healing thing, we may be that family history, that family medical history, that something that gets passed down to generation is actually the truth, you know? Or we discover something that's been passed down, you know, maybe something that we weren't prior to or privy to before. You know, we discover it, you know. So it could also be too like maybe I'm seeing something where maybe the key to unlocking somebody's healing is actually tied up in, you know, something that has gone on with family, you know, and so becoming aware of the family's history, family medical history, unlocks the key to the healing that needs to take place. So I'm seeing those things with Key and Rider. Now, moving to the card on the far left, we have Lilies. So Lilies is a card, and this is very interesting in light of what I talked about with lineage and ancestry, you know, and history. Lilies is all about that. Lilies can be about the past, about something old, you know? So I'm seeing that again. So it's reinforcing like something from the past coming back up, but it's coming back up in a way that's going to be helpful. that's going to allow us to move from a place of possible stuckness, or that, the way to get to the answer of what we're experiencing now, we have to take a trip down memory lane, or we have to revisit the past or something. It could also be too, with that, we may discover an elder or a senior, because this card can represent somebody who is a senior, somebody who's an elder, so that could be like the elderly, a senior citizen, but it could also represent somebody who is like the patriarch of a family, so it could be like, going down and seeing or getting something from somebody who has the answers or solutions, because this card can represent like wisdom. So it could be somebody who has wisdom, like, so it has the answers that we need, and so we need to kind of get in touch with this person because they can provide what it is that we need in terms of information. So I'm seeing that. So it could be, again, a revisit of the past, something old coming back up, and with it, there's going to be some healing that we weren't able to do before, but we can do it now. Like, now's the time. The healing is important. And so it's about, like, letting the past come up or revisit the past so that process can take place. So I'm seeing that with lilies at the beginning of the line. And lilies is about, like, what do we need to do in terms of healing? If we go with tree being about healing, what do we need to do so we can have peace about something? This card is about reaching a place of peace, having peace about something, a harmony. It's about tranquility, something of that nature. So how can we reach a place of peace with a situation? So I'm seeing that. It could also be too, an older person is visiting. If we talked about rider being the visit or arrival, it could be like an older person, an elder person in the family visits. So it could be like extended family. So it could be, a great aunt, a great uncle. It could be your grandfather, great grandfather, somebody who, like a few generations older is coming to visit. So there's that. And it's an important visit, so I'm seeing that as possibilities. And then the other side of the line, we have anchor. So anchor is a card that represents reaching something that allows us a greater sense of security and stability, right? So it could be saying too, like, this answer or this solution, going with key because key is right next to anchor, could be this answer or solution allows us a greater sense of stability and security, right? I'm seeing that as possibilities. Now, anchor is a work-related card, so it could be saying too, there may be something as a result of this discovery that we need to work on. It could also be too, like, something that's going to help us secure something, so it's like the answer or solution becomes secured, it becomes locked in, that kind of thing. So I'm seeing that. But anchor can also be about something that becomes routine, so I'm seeing that. Could be too, like, maybe if we look at the idea of anchor being work, and this is a totally different thing. So maybe somebody who's done work as a healer in the past is revisiting that. Because sometimes anchor for me, if we talk about work, it represents long-term work. So it could be something that we're working on for the long term, or it could be like long-term work. We've been in an industry, or we've been in a career for a long time, and that would make sense. Going with lilies. Lilies represents, somebody who's an elder, somebody who's a senior. It could be somebody who has a great deal of experience doing this long-term work. So there's a great level of experience with that. Could also be too, in terms of work, somebody is facing retirement. I've said that before when lilies has shown up. So lilies could be about retirement. Could also be too, if we're working on achieving peace, right? And I said the word working because of anchor. If we're working on achieving peace, then anchor could be suggesting too, like, it is going to be work. There is going to be work involved in that. And so would you be willing to do the work? Now, here's the other thing about that. Anchor at the end of the line is a very positive card because for me it represents perseverance. So it could be like, if we've been moving through a challenge, and maybe a recurring challenge, like maybe the past is coming back up, and it's coming back up for us to heal, then anchor is saying, like, we can do it. We can persevere. And it also is about having some hope, being hopeful about the future, because this is another meaning of anchor for me. It represents being hopeful. And at the end of the line, it represents the future because we're moving from the past to the future. It represents being hopeful for the future, right? So I'm going to suggest, as we round out the line and sum things up, Lilies is about looking at the past. Could involve a senior, so it could be about somebody who's a senior in the family, somebody who's elderly, you know, history kind of coming back up, and that would make sense with Rider. Rider is about the arrival or the visit, so it's like history repeating itself in a way, and if that's the case, it's doing so because something from the past is coming back up now so we can heal it. It may be rooted in a former family situation or a family history kind of thing, or somebody is maybe needing to look at healing, but from a place of looking at one's lineage, one's heritage, you know, because the condition that we are working with or moving through may be something that is hereditary. So there's that. And then we get the answer with Key. Key is a great card because it represents the answer. A solution is coming up, and I think it represents if we're patient, if we're open to the process of healing, whatever it is needs to be healed, that's when the answer shows up. That's when the solution arrives. But we have to make the choice that we're going to do that, right? And then as a result of the choice, the answer, the solution, the discovery, the revelation, we become hopeful about the future. And we're willing to do our work. You know, this card for me is about doing the work. So if it's not about actual work, it's not about an actual job or employment situation or career situation, it just represents doing the work. But it represents doing the work from a place of being hopeful for the future and from a place of perseverance. You know, it reminds me of that saying, like, if it doesn't kill you, it only makes you stronger. And so on that note, I'm going to end this week's Oracle Outlook. I'm Jameson Mitchell, and as I close this week's reading, I'd first like to thank you for sharing the space here with me this week, and I look forward to sharing the same space with you again in our next video reading together. So until then, I'm hoping that you have a wonderful day, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care.